Good Friday to all my fellow plebs out there. I hope you guys are all enjoying your Friday. I got to go into work here pretty soon, unfortunately, and finish up my work week for the week. So, if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that subscription button. Become a lifetime pleb here at A Pleb's View. Got an article here that's going to cover a little bit like an update on the Hunter Biden laptop. My liberal buddy, he claims it's just a laptop. Acts like there's nothing on it. So we're just gonna see what happens. I do think this guy's gonna end up doing some jail time. I don't know if it'll be exactly for the laptop, but I definitely think it will be for his tax stuff, is what I'm thinking. I think he's gonna have to go down as kind of like the sacrificial lamb, if you will, of the Biden crime family. So. We'll go ahead and get into the article here. It's from Vox. It's the return of Hunter Biden's laptop. And it's by Andrew Prokop. Hunter Biden's laptop has returned to the discourse. The president's son remains under investigation for matters related to tax payments and his foreign work. The New York Times reported last week, and that report cites emails that, per the Times, are from a cache of files that appears to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop. This is a reference to a controversial October surprise that came out just before the 2020 election. Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani gave those files to the New York Post, and they circulated to other conservative outlets too, resulting in negative stories about Hunter Biden's business and personal life. Democrats and the allies cried foul, arguing that the materials may have been fake, stolen, or leaked as part of a foreign interference campaign akin to the Russian government's hacking and leaks of Democratic emails in 2016. The mainstream media generally treated the material with caution, and perhaps most controversially of all, Twitter and Facebook blocked or restricted links to the Post's story. Censorship at the finest, folks. This was censorship at the finest. And I was told by my buddy, oh, this is just a laptop. Why would the Democrats and all these people go to these kind of links if it was just a laptop? I mean, really? Come on, dude. Let me know. Let me know, buddy. Let me know in the comments. Don't run to Snapchat. Let us know in the comments of why this is just a laptop, please. Now, conservatives interpreted last week's Times report as a belated concession that the leaked material was authentic, and they're taking a victory lap. The Times finally admits Hunter laptop is real. The New York Post editorial board crowd. Technically, the Times only vouched for certain emails they'd authenticated with the help of people familiar with them and with the investigation. But the Times reporters also said the cache of files appears to have come from a laptop Hunter abandoned at a computer shop, leaning toward, without quite endorsing, a long question account of how the material got out. So nearly a year and a half later, it's worth revisiting what happened back in the heat of the 2020 campaign. Some decisions and claims look dubious in retrospect. Twitter briefly blocked links to a story for potentially containing hacked material, and Facebook briefly restricted it as possible misinformation, but it may have been neither, and no evidence has emerged to back up suspicions from former intelligence officials, backed by Biden himself, that laptop's leak was a Russian plot. Yeah, so this just tells you about the mainstream media, all of these social media platforms that you really can't trust what you see on them. I mean, it's really just a bunch of bullshit, the truth be told. The left likes to say it's just a narrative, that the right doesn't have a voice. Well, it's pretty quite obvious with all this bullshit, woke censorship. You got Gina Carano, who got kicked off The Mandalorian. Alec Baldwin, the biggest left-wing anti-gun nut job there probably is getting off scot-free with killing someone because he's not responsible. Doesn't know how to be responsible with a gun. I mean, who in the hell points a gun, loaded or not loaded, at someone? I mean, it's just instances like that. There's many more that you could keep going on and on about. So But the emails were indeed being put out as part of an orchestrated campaign by Trump's team to try to drive negative media coverage toward Joe Biden shortly before the election. And whatever the revelations about Hunter, claims from conservatives that the leaked emails proved Joe Biden acted corruptly in some way were false. They proved no such thing. The laptop from hell. In October 2020, the New York Post began publishing some of Hunter Biden's text, emails, and other documents. As for how they got this information, the following stories soon emerged from a Delaware computer repair store owner, John Paul Mac Isaac. In April 2019, someone dropped off 3 water damaged laptops with him for repair. Mac Isaac claimed he couldn't say for sure who dropped them off because he is legally blind, but he said the person identified himself as Hunter Biden and signed a receipt with what appears to be Hunter's name. One of the laptops had a Beau Biden foundation sticker. No one ever returned to pick up the laptop, so Mac Isaac, an enthusiastic Trump supporter, started looking at what's on one of them. He saw what he thought was lots of scandalous material, so he called authorities and handed it over, but also kept a copy of its material on a hard drive. At some point, he gave that hard drive to Rudy Giuliani's lawyer, Robert Costello, and they gave it to the New York Post and circulated among other Trump supporters like Steve Bannon. The Post and other conservative media outlets' coverage of Hunter's files partly involved leered material about Hunter's personal life. Hunter's struggles with drug addiction were already a matter of public record, but the files contained further embarrassing details as well as sexual material. The other focus of coverage was Hunter's lucrative foreign work, most notably with the Ukrainian gas company and Chinese business interests. Trump allies had long claimed this work proved not just Hunter's, but Joe Biden's corruption, and they combed through Hunter's emails to try to make that case. The Post coverage was controversial, including inside the paper, per the New York Times. One reporter refused to put his name on the story due to credibility concerns, and other Post staff questioned whether the paper had done enough to verify the authenticity of the hard drive's contents. But Trump cited what he dubbed the laptop from hell constantly, and conservatives began to argue that the mainstream media and social media companies were suppressing the story to help Biden win. The response from social media companies: the modern leaked genre of mass disclosure of a person's emails, texts, and other electronic material presents challenges for journalists. How do you prove the material's authenticity in a large dump of emails? Must every email be individually authenticated? Are there ethical concerns with publishing stolen material being released with a certain agenda? What is genuinely newsworthy in a dump of private information, and what is an invasion of privacy? There are different schools of thought about these questions, which all came up when leading Democrat emails were posted by WikiLeaks in 2016. Democrats claimed they'd been hacked by the Russian government, but media outlets generally concluded the information was authentic and gave the leaked material, both substantive and non-substantive, ample coverage. Then Trump won the election. More evidence about Russia's complicity piled up, and some in the media had second thoughts, wondering whether they'd been used. Meanwhile, social media companies were facing their own second guessing about the 2016 election from outside critics and their own employees. Many argued that misinformation spreading unchecked on these platforms, some circulated by Russia, helped Trump win. So they, like many journalists, hope to do things differently should a similar situation arise in 2020. The New York Post Hunter Biden story seemed to be the situation they had feared, and so Twitter and Facebook swung into action. Twitter went the furthest, blocking links to the Post story from being shared on its platform at all, and then taking down the New York Post account for 16 days. They said this was because the material might have been hacked. Facebook also announced they were reducing its distribution on our platform, while fact checkers examined whether it was misinformation. Anybody that's getting news from any of these places, for one, there's something wrong with you. These are the last places I would go for any source of information. Even when I do these videos, it's hard to even find a decent article that's not full of a bunch of just pure bullshit. These responses, though, they came in fast, moving, and confusing situation were heavy-handed and arguably ill-judged. The challenges posed by hacked material are so thorny in part because it often isn't misinformation. Its power comes from its accuracy. It's also not clear that any hack happened here at all. Even though the story of the abandoned laptop is bizarre, speculation that there's more to it remains just speculation, and if a hack did occur, it's hard to set a hard and fast rule that no articles based on stolen material are allowed. What about the Pentagon Papers? It's also fair to be skeptical of whether social media companies would have responded so strongly if a Trump family member had been the victim of a suspected hack that October. Media outlets, for their part, didn't block anything. There was ample coverage of all this in the conservative press, and albeit more slowly in mainstream media outlets. There's no obligation for media outlets to run with convenient timed opposition research pushed by one presidential candidate's team shortly before an election. For example, most media outlets did not cover the Steele dossier allegations before the 2016 election. Only Mother Jones and Yahoo News did. The dossier itself was eventually published by BuzzFeed News after Trump won the following January. So they waited a whole year to publish a story about that. That's crazy. Just That's just asinine. People actually trust, our mainstream media, and they actually want to listen to what's going on with it, and it's just sad. Some commentators did go too far in asserting that this was part of a Russian plot when the evidence hasn't emerged to back that up. The Biden's campaign similarly sought to cast doubt on the story by alluding that could be Russian misinformation when the underlying emails appeared to be authentic. But in general, major journalism outlets did try to assess whether there was genuine news there. And here's where we come to the real dispute, which wasn't just about whether the emails are fake or real, but about what they show. Trump allies have insisted the leaked material proves that Joe Biden was corrupt. If you think that's what's being covered up, of course it seems outrageous that the mainstream media wasn't devoting more attention to it, but that case is weak. There are two supposed smoking guns about Joe Biden that conservatives tout in the materials. The first was an email the Post called a blockbuster, in which an executive at the Ukrainian gas company Burisma thanked Hunter for the opportunity to meet your father in 2015. If you're steeped in Trump world lore, this was damning because of the theory that Biden had the corrupt prosecutor general of Ukraine fired to benefit Burisma. Biden had said he knew nothing about Hunter's Ukrainian work, but look, meeting. Apparently, it was a dinner at Cafe Milano that Hunter had organized with about a dozen people. This appears to amount to Vice President Biden seemingly going to one dinner. The second involved a business venture that Hunter tried to set up with a Chinese energy tycoon in 2017. After Joe Biden was no longer vice president, one email mentions that the equity split would include 10 held by H for the big guy. Former business partner of Hunter's named Tony Bobulinski came forward to claim the big guy was Joe Biden, but a subsequent email from Hunter says his chairman gave him an emphatic no, and a further email clarifies that the chairman is his dad. So this amounts to Joe Biden apparently refusing some deal Hunter tried to enmesh him in. All of this was indeed covered in the press in October 2020. So the real objection from conservatives is that they didn't get the narrative they liked out of the mainstream media. Hunter's emails contained a whole lot of embarrassing and arguably newsworthy material about himself, and the shady foreign business interests of the son of the potential next president are certainly a worthy topic of media coverage. But as for the Biden who is actually on the ballot, there is very little from him personally in those messages, other than an exchange where he comforts his despondent, drug-addicted son. The emails didn't dominate mainstream media because, at least so far, they didn't have the goods. Well, I mean, it kind of covered the narrative, I thought. I don't know exactly why they'd say us conservatives didn't get the plot we wanted. I mean, we just kind of wanted to point out that Biden's son's a piece of shit, and someone that can raise a son as despicable as this guy to pretty much sell out his own country for his own good. I definitely feel that he was up to some shady business with Russia and China. There's no convincing me otherwise on that. But yeah, it's just. We just wanted to mainly point out that, yeah, this guy has a shady son. I mean, they really want to dig into the laptop any further, so, I mean, you really can't say if Biden was involved for sure or not. I'd say he probably was involved in some sort of way. Pretty easy for him to kind of say, oh, no, I told him, no, we're not, we didn't do that. I told him, no, I shut that deal down, so. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on this story. I kind of see what goes on with that. Keep an eye on the People's Convoy. Hasn't been really any news that I've liked so far with the sports. So I haven't really covered too much sports lately. Maybe tomorrow I'll do something with Deshaun Watson and kind of see what's going on with that. If you guys like this kind of content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm working towards my 1,000 subscribers, so the one way you can help my channel grow right now is just by hitting that subscribe button. Cheap, easy, and free. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'll probably put a video up tomorrow, and I'm thinking about Sunday, kind of working on the layout a little bit, and might get a new camera the next couple of weeks. I got a little bit better video quality. But like I said, I'm trying to move here, so I'm not trying to spend too much money until I kind of move and get a little bit better, like a studio setup, I guess I could say. So I don't know if it'll be over the top until the channel gets going a little bit more, but I'm hoping if I do some things to kind of make it look a little bit better, that help it grow a little bit better, or we'll see. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy. Enjoy your Friday.